Thanks for tuning in to CrushTheStreet.com. Today we have Cyrus Hojjaty, YouTube channel Cyrus992. On your channel, you've talked a lot about how the current setup of how suburbs are is very inefficient. You have to drive a lot of miles, and now oil prices are spiking. Gas is almost $5 a gallon. Can you explain your opinion on how we can solve this and what's wrong?
It's basically, difficult to maintain, and it's not just suburbs. It's just basically anything that we've built after the 1920s. I mean, from the highway system, the massive parking lots, the big box stores, the Walmarts, the Costco's, the Sam's Clubs, the Home Depots, the McMansion cookie cutter housing subdivisions, all this other stuff, all this other cluster we've built, they're going to be very, very increasingly dysfunctional. Now, at least the good part is, we have single family homes, we have yards, I respect that, but thanks to the system, and a system that really didn't represent free consumer choice, but was rigorously mandated by codes, regulations, subsidies, corporate intervention, all these zoning laws that made everywhere so drivable, well, it's going to really become increasingly dysfunctional. And sadly, this day has to come to an end. I mean, we don't want to wish terrible events, but if you look at the way we're going, if you look at the dollar, the currency is the major factor. There may be other factors, speculation, an oil embargo, that could be a possible factor, rising global tensions. This is going to be very, very difficult to really maintain this landscape. And frankly, what is really surprising to me is where are people going to go? I mean, we have so many cities all over the world, not just around here, all over the world. And when these cities are going to be dysfunctional, when you live in a cul-de-sac and you can't pay the gas to buy a loaf of bread, where are you going to go? Well, in the short term, I think we're going to see somewhat of an exodus to the more cities that were designed in an older fashioned way, where things were more close. Maybe to the downtowns, low dense, high dense. But maybe in the long term, I mean, if you think of it this way, what about the cost that it takes to bring the goods to the stores? Because you don't see farms in the middle of downtowns, really. So what if the truckers don't get high wages to bring the goods? So this whole system, this whole trade, globalization is going to fail. You look at our harbors, our goods, the stuff we wear. Where are they made? In parts of the world we don't even know. If the truckers can't get the wages they need to transport them, this whole system begins to tumble down. And we really have to wake up. We really have to understand. We really have to have a plan B.
Do you think there's a dollar amount, like $5 a gallon for gas, that is a breaking point that's going to lead into a whole new stage of economic collapse, and just for the average American is going to break their back?
Well, it depends on where you live in. In an area that is low income, it's going to really start pinching. In an area where I live in, sorry to brag or show off, but South Orange County, income 6-figure, well, we could still start cruising them even when it's $7, or maybe in some areas $10. But other than that, it's going to be very difficult. Now, I want to make sure the possible scams and the schemes that very powerful people are going to create. Many of us think the reason we're a car dependent, a car culture society, because we love cars, but that is somewhat misleading. All of these areas that were designed were rigorously mandated by codes and regulations, and it was also enforced to benefit large mega corporations. You look at the old days, we had streetcars, we had highways, and we didn't have highways, but we had the old traditional downtowns, and then these big oil companies, Standard Oil, owned by Rockefeller, General Motors, a lot of these other corporations wanted to build a system of highways, the Interstate Highway Act, and basically creating this system so we can be slaves to ExxonMobil, we can be slaves to high cost of gasoline. And then after creating that, they're going to create another scam. And that other scam is going to be sustainable urban development. If many of you heard of it, sustainable development, we have to cut greenhouse gases. That's another scam. And they know that when gas prices are going to go up, people want to get out of their cars, and they're going to create this other scam. They're going to try to put us into our cities, and it's going to bring a lot of other trouble. So if you see that, take action. Again, we want walkable cities. we want transit-oriented development, but not when it's done after sustainable development. Not after when it's done through heavy regulations, heavy enforcement, heavy intervention. That's not the way to do it. Not when it comes to threatening private property.
The people that don't believe right now, in the last years, that gold and silver is a good investment, do you think they'll believe if the dollar becomes, almost worthless, or it loses basically, let's say it loses half its value? Do you think people will believe if they look at the gold and silver charts and see how much they went up? Do you think they'll finally believe in gold and silver?
Well, it all depends. If those maniacs and those clowns at CNBC and the mainstream media keep brainwashing them, doing all the things they can, well, you never know. But if people really begin to understand and they see the gold price and they see really a pattern going on, and thanks to the internet and the alternative media, it really depends on the people. It depends on what's their guts, what's their intuition. First stage is really kind of denial. They go, oh no, this is not happening. What should we do? What should we, they may go crazy. Maybe they don't even want to invest. They just go hopeless. But all I can say is there will be a certain amount of people that will change their opinion. The fact that it will go mainstream, that it will be common knowledge, that is very difficult to tell. But it will be probably in a few years. Yeah,
as the alternative media grows and mainstream, things that are on cable die out, more people are believing the alternative over what we call now mainstream. The alternative is becoming the new mainstream media. So, but you're saying there'll always be the people that believe anything they see on TV.
Right. This is the thing that I've been really understanding. We call our society very educated, we're going into college, but when you look at the media and you look at what people are into, these sporting games, Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian, all these fake wannabes out there that are just so overrated. I mean, how can people really put their energy into these things? I mean, this is literally a trap, and I think they put these maniacs out there to distract people from what's really going on. And I'm thankfully, I'm woken up, and thankfully I have the energy and the enthusiasm to really snap people out of their heads. I mean, the young people especially, they just don't get it. They think it's all in the medias and the college system. That's the only thing that's going to influence them. No outside information. Oh, if you think outside information, you must be crazy. You can't fit in us. Oh, that's right. You got to drink beer. You got to smoke to fit in.
Cyrus, do you own a car?
Why would I own a car? At a time when there's opportunities in precious metals or even something else, I could put my income, my hard earnings into precious metals. You still got buses, we pay taxes for them, use what you pay for. I don't want to be slaves to ExxonMobil and Chevron and all these other conglomerates. It's time to ditch the system. Don't feed into it. Go at a restaurant that is locally owned, buy goods that are closer to home, get rid of the debt, insurance, savings account schemes. Be the resistance, okay?
Now, the main problem with cars and commuting is the gas price.
Right.
Because it's 70% is from oil, the
right.
price of oil. Do you think electric cars would partially or completely solve that problem if we get into more electric cars and people drive those instead of cars that run on gasoline?
Well, ask yourself that question. If we have solar panels, maybe that could help. But if we get electricity, where does the electricity come from? It comes from natural gas. If those commodities continue to go higher, then electricity prices can go higher. Now, it could benefit us short term, maybe 2 to 3 years. But if we see cost of living increase double every year, or who knows? Maybe when we reach that stage, we might have a new currency. But if we see like a doubling in price of increase, maybe electrical prices will be very, very high because natural gas prices are going to go high. So short-term benefit, most likely. Long-term, if it goes really out of control, probably not. No. We live in an area that is very valuable across the country. what's going to happen to these areas? Are these areas are going to lose value so badly that a home may cost $40,000? Right in front of the California beaches. Could that be a reality? Probably not, because when there's a huge bargain, I think a lot of people are going to move to those areas, and maybe they could lose some value, lose some population, but I don't think these areas will become ghost towns unless there's a law that tells us we cannot be in these areas. These are restricted areas. But other than that, I do see a lot of areas losing a lot of population, losing a lot of value. But in terms of areas like this that still have a lot of value, I don't think they're going to be ghost towns. I think they're going to still have a certain level of population.
Cyrus, when did you start questioning the system and following alternative media, and you started a YouTube channel and you talk about the dysfunctional suburbs? What sparked your awakening?
Dysfunctional urban areas, not just suburbs. I don't want to be misunderstood. I'm not anti-suburb. I'm not anti-single-family home. I love these things. I just don't like McMansions, and I don't like the way that they're being designed, and that's really the culprit. I mean, for an example, I want real mansions, real high-quality stuff we used to make 100 years ago. But what really got me into, let's just say, I was always an open thinker. I was always expanding my mind, expanding my horizons a lot of times, frequently. Ever since I was 12 years old, I got into urban design. I got into the real estate market. Back in 2004, I remember, I had a huge feeling the market was going to collapse. Later on, I thought these high gas prices that were coming were going to create catastrophic events back in 2008. When I moved to South Orange County in 2009, when I went to high school, it was very neglectful, it was very overrated, and there was a lot of important things that our education system wouldn't really teach. We were told, and especially in that school, that if I have a 5 on the AP exam, if I get a 2400 on the SAT score, and if I get graduated to Harvard, I'm considered educated. I know better than everybody else. Forget this guy who thinks a lot, who's very expressive. So this is what we have been into. We have been judging people by labels and statistics, and this system where we have to do hours of homework that don't really help. And frankly, I thought that, why are we doing this? What's the point of all this? Why education has to be like that? And I figured out, what's the consequence? Well, people told me you're not going to be wealthy in the future. Is that really true? Right. What about other opportunities? And I figured out, well, maybe I should get into investing, learn how to improve my money a little better. And shortly then, I figured out about the gold and silver boom, and it became a wonderful opportunity. So far, I haven't made a lot, but I'm still very, very hopeful. And let's just say if it doesn't turn out, at least I learned a lot, and I'm very, very proud about that. And I really want to be out there telling people, let's start the Renaissance, let's be aware about what's going on, and let's create a bridge to the future.
Obviously, you're very passionate about what you believe. Cyrus, thank you for coming out and talking to us.
Thank you so much. And if you love my words, if you love listening to me, please subscribe to my channel at Cyrus992. Check it out. I have a lot of videos, a lot of topics about the markets and where are we headed, and just people in general. Either they're lost or they're waking up. So stay tuned for updates.
For more unconventional ideas, please visit CrushTheStreet.com.